Hi there. In this video, I am going to show you how you can quickly export Azure policy resources to a GitHub version control. Once Azure policy resources like definitions, initiatives are present in GitHub repository, you can use GitHub Actions to deploy any changes made to those files in GitHub repository back to Azure policy service. So I am in Azure portal. I'll go to the Azure policy service and click on the definitions. Let me now walk you through the policies that I want to export in this video. So here are two policies that I'll be exporting. The first one restricts the virtual machine's queue or the sizes that can be created. Second one restricts the geographic location where resources in Azure can be created. Let's go into the first one. So these are the details of the Azure policy definition, and you can see that it has been assigned 3 times. In this case, it has been assigned to a dev environment or a dev scope, to a canary scope, and the third one is a prod scope. Now let us try to export these definitions to a GitHub repository. So I am in the definitions plate. You can see that there is an export definition button available over here. I click on that. Once you click on this, it will ask you to sign in with GitHub. Since I am already logged into the browser, it won't ask me my authentication details. After you log in, you can see the details of your repository that is present in that account. Select the repository where you want to export these policies. Then click on Next. Now select the scope at which you want to export the policies. In my case, I want to export the policies at 3 levels, that is the dev, canary, and prod. So I'll select these 3. Let me now add the policy definitions. So these are the 2 policy definitions that I want to export. So I have added it. Now you can, if you want, you can change whether you want to export just definition and assignments or just definition. I'll keep it like this. Let me go to next one. Over here you can see the details of everything that is selected. So in this case, I have 2 policy definitions and each of them has 3 assignments. Before I export, let's go into this repository and see how it looks like currently. So in this repository, you can see that there's just one README file. I'll go back and export the policies. It will take some time and then it will show you a toast that the policies have been exported. It also gives you a link to the repository where the policy has been exported. I click on that. So clicking on the link will take you to the GitHub repository to the exact commit that was made using the export. Let me go to the code section of the repository. As you can see, there are 2 folders that have been created. One is the policy folder, the other one is GitHub workflow. Let's go into the policy folder. In this, you can see the 2 policies that were exported by us are present. On going into one of them, we can see that there's a policy.json which corresponds to the policy definition, and there are 3 assignments. These 3 assignments correspond to the 3 different environments for which we had this policy assigned. Let me go back into the code section and tell you a little bit more about the GitHub workflows. So when you export the policies, we also export a sample GitHub workflow to get you started very quickly. This workflow uses manage Azure policy action to push any changes made to the GitHub repository files back to Azure. By default, it triggers manually on the push of a button, but if you want to have a CI configured, you can just uncomment this section, and with every commit that is done to the policy files, this workflow will run and sync all the changes from GitHub repository to Azure policy.